Bear, look at all the green coming back. Isn't it exciting? Good morning, little babies. It's time to milk. Good morning, good morning. I did not make a good clothing decision. It is chilly out here. Is anyone else like, I keep thinking like at one point I'll become a real grown-up and stop doing this, but it hasn't happened yet. Is anyone else always wearing the wrong clothes? Like you're always overestimating. I get in my mind like, oh, it's springtime, everything's turning green, and I'll come out in t-shirts every single day in the morning and just be really cold. So I gotta get a jacket. Okay, take two. Now I'm actually machine milking all my goats today. This machine is new to me. It is a simple pulse milker, and I don't really have an opinion on it yet. I don't have like a review for you or anything. That is what we're using. I actually love hand milking and prefer hand milking, but it is nice to have the machine when I'm milking multiple goats because it does help get through it faster and it is easier. And I can understand why, especially if you had any sort of like limitation or if you were trying to milk a lot of goats, that this might be more efficient. I love hand milking. It's very much one of those tasks that I dreamed of for a long time, but I am relieved to have this tool. It is extremely windy, so I'm gonna try to set you guys up where you have a view, but you're not getting an earful of wind. So the process with the milker is pretty much the same. You wash off the udder, turn it on, put it on the goat. This milker uses, I don't know the right terminology for it, but it's like broken suction. And it makes this job a lot easier. This is pretty much it. Don't worry, our milking chats aren't entirely over. I'm not doing this every day. I like making videos, hand milking. I like hand milking, but sometimes this is nice to get the job done quickly. One more goat to go in my milking lineup, and I'm gonna have to go get another jar because this one's pretty well full and I don't want to overflow it. I will make like a thorough review video and how to use video once I'm familiar with this machine. I'll probably use it for a season to actually develop an opinion about it before I share it. That's what I usually like to do, especially with something that's expensive. I want to make sure I'm giving you guys good solid information. But so far it seems to be good, and it's definitely easier to use. We used to have a milking machine that was like really just a pain in the butt, and it was like an old like professional dairy machine we had gotten in a trade with someone, and it was hard to move around, it was hard to clean, it was all those things, and this is definitely easier than that, and it doesn't hurt the goats. If you ever see, there are a lot of things you can find, like how to make a milking machine for cheap and stuff like that, but a lot of those are continuous suction and it'll blow their teats out. It's not good for them to use those consistently. Maybe occasionally wouldn't hurt, but it's better to do something that pulses, and that's what the simple pulse is. Alright, so the reason I wanted to get the milking done quick is because I have lots of garden stuff to do today, and I just looked down here and realized that this is closed. Okay, it's not too hot in there. Anytime I see the greenhouse closed up, I get really nervous because it gets so hot so fast. Even early on this cool morning with the sun shining, it is 84 in here. It's like 30 Celsius. Definitely don't need this in here. It's getting to the point that my tomatoes are having to be watered almost every day. Sometimes they can go every other day, but they go through so much water when they start getting big. I use these little 2.5-inch pots. They probably won't have to be watered as frequently if you're using something like solo cups that hold more soil because they can hold more water. These dry out fast. Thankfully, though larger plants are more demanding and they need water more frequently, they can also handle getting a little dry without dying. You know, when you got little seedlings, they'll just shrivel up and die in a day if they don't have water. But older plants will actually droop some first, and you've got a little more time. I've now started the process of hardening off my plants and getting ready to put them out because we're coming down to that. I did start my plants a little later this year, so I've still got some time that they can comfortably grow in these pots before they have to be transplanted. So I'm not in any major rush or anything, but I feel pretty safe that it's not gonna freeze again. Whatever you do, wherever you are, when it comes down to transplanting your plants out to your garden, make sure that you check your 10-day forecast. It's really best to wait for anything that's frost tender to have consistent nights above 50 degrees Fahrenheit or 10 degrees Celsius. So that is ideal. I do not fudge on that for peppers. I would definitely wait for those temperatures for peppers. However, with flowers and with tomatoes, with some things, they will forgive you if you put them out when it's like around 40 at night, 4 degrees Celsius. So there is a little leeway there. However, if you're seeing any nights under 40 or 4 when you're looking at that on your 10-day forecast, it's not safe, because if it's still getting that cold, it could get a little colder than that. And if you get down close to freezing, you're risking damaging plants that you've worked so hard on. I am always shocked though at how fast these suckers just take off and change. Look at that plant. Isn't that so beautiful and healthy looking? Good job, little baby plants. I noticed this the other day out the window. Aren't these irises lovely? I've actually got a couple different varieties here. I've got this lighter purple, and then these, which are so gorgeous. Did I forget you in the goat yard? Did Daddy set you free? Poor bear. I was carrying in all my stuff and I forgot him down in the goat yard. I was just thinking about getting the milk stuff cleaned and put up, and left him behind. Hey, sweet Maya.
Oh, I thought you were just saying hi to me.
Randomly after we've been walking and talking.
It's like, hey again.
I was letting them say hey to you. I was introducing you to the storyline of this vlog.
Oh, welcome to the story.
So it is that time of year where Maya and I work a lot during the days. We kind of cross paths. Usually we do our walks in the evening. It's middle of the day right now. And actually, Ben Turn has started bringing soil back here with the tractor. And I'm about to shoot a separate video talking to you guys about how we plant potatoes. So I don't know if you'll see this one first or that one first. Sometimes whenever I'm doing daily content, I will break things up, things like that need to be more searchable. I don't want them to get buried in a vlog. And so I'll break things up and shoot multiple videos in a day so I can have weekends off with my family. So I'm about to shoot that. It is evening now. I'm headed back out. I've got about 20 minutes of light, and I'm gonna try to get some more stuff in the ground while I've got the time. I planted the potatoes today during like the late morning, and it's almost getting to the time of year where it's not smart to do that. It was definitely a lot of sun, and I actually like to do most of my gardening like right now. The last hour, hour and a half before the sun goes down, because it's really cool outside and it's much less taxing on your body. So I've got some started plants up here that I was gonna go ahead and try to stick in the ground just because they're getting kind of big. It's now the danger of frost has passed, and these plants, if I leave them much longer, they'll start really suffering from being in these pots. Still got some time before this stuff goes in. Not a lot of time. Some of these in the back are starting to get really big. But they're still getting hardened off. I have 100% been known to be out here planting stuff in the dark. Just barely with enough light to see. It's actually just such a peaceful, I don't know if you guys can hear the owls. We're surrounded by woods, so there are always sounds here on our farm. Uh-oh, I'm gonna hear that. Also, there were wild geese on the pond across the street. So these are just some dahlias that I got. And the cool thing about dahlias here is that I can leave them in the ground and they'll just keep coming back year after year. And they're really pretty. Good cutting flowers. I'm actually gonna load these up into my little cart here and take them over into the raised bed garden. All right, oh, one more thing. Yes. So right here, I have those badger flame beets in this area that I planted, and I think I'm gonna go all the way down this side and plant these pink okras and just do a handful of those plants, and I've got a couple of started Texas Hill Countries I'm going to put down on the end. So I'm forever not marking things in my garden, but I do have a YouTube channel, so I literally will just go back and watch my videos to see what's where. And I did not bring a marker down here today, so this video is my marker for what I'm putting in this garden right now. So the suggested plant spacing on the packages of these okras is 18 inches apart. And the way I'll do that in these 4-foot wide beds is I'll plant a seed and then go 18 inches this way and do a seed, and 18 inches this way and do a seed, 18 inches this way. And I usually do a zigzag down the beds. And that way I'm able to fit kind of more larger plants by staggering them that way. And of course it's right next to this trellis where these peas are going to grow. And these okra plants are going to get huge. They're going to be taller than me, really massive, huge thick stalks. And by the time they get really big, those peas will have been pulled off. And I'll be able to plant beans there for the fall. And we'll plant the beans, and those will be coming up later in the summer as the okra plants start kind of dying off towards the end of the summer. They'll produce a whole lot, and then they'll get really, really big, and they'll kind of start splitting themselves. And towards the end of the summer, when it's really hot and the plants are older, the pods they produce, they just start degrading. They get kind of bumpy and weird. So we usually eat a ton of okra between like June, July, and into August. And at the end of August, we usually take the okra plants out, which will be about the time the bean plants here will start growing up and producing. So I keep things like that in mind when I'm planting, just kind of knowing when things are gonna peak. And of course that comes with time and experience. Here I actually have some okra that I bought from a local place that was started, and there were like 3 or 4 plants in each one of these little containers. So these were $1.50 each, so $3 for 6 started plants. The main thing that I try to take into consideration when I am planting things is, like, I don't want to leave big empty spaces in my garden. So I won't put lots of things together that are going to peak at the same time and therefore then need to be pulled out at the same time. I want to extend the amount of time that my garden is really pretty and full looking. And obviously things are going to come and go during different parts of the year, so everything doesn't look awesome all the time. But if you know when things look awesome, you can kind of plant them in such a way that you don't have big gaping spaces in the garden. I put in the Texas Hill Countries, and I have a little more space down here on the end, so I'm going to put in a few more of these Okinawa pink seeds. I'm just sowing 2 seeds per hole to make sure that I get good germination here. All right, there we go. 12 okra plants is really plenty for us if we're just eating it fresh. Now I'll plant more than that, and I like pickled okra. We eat it raw. We bake it. It's really good baked in the oven. You can grill it. Being the Bubba Gump of okra right now. I have a whole video about okra. It's foreign to a lot of people. It's very much a southern thing, and a lot of people live in places that they've never eaten it before. It's definitely weird. It's not something that everybody likes by any means, but it is a member of the marshmallow family and has mucilage. People say they don't like it because it's snotty inside, but it's very, very good for your gut, very good for your digestion. And it thrives on heat and neglect. 2 things I happen to be kind of good at giving the garden. Here I have some African blue basils. I'm just gonna tuck these in. These got a little dry, but they'll pop back. I'm gonna put these in here at the end of this, these brassicas. Again, these are gonna get really big and pretty, and probably about the time that I'm tearing all these brassicas out. So I like putting those in because they'll visually anchor the space. Because when you come in the garden, this is going to be empty in a couple months. I'm not 100% sure these brassicas are going to do great. Depends on how quick it gets hot. But whether they do great or not, they'll be harvested in the next 8 weeks. So I'm going to have a big empty space on the end, and I'll be able to put something else in and it'll fill back up. But going ahead and putting these basils here, they'll get really big and they'll kind of offset that empty space. Now here is a Thai basil plant This is one that flowers almost immediately. Thai basil is really good. I like using it in cooking. However, it also grows really big and fast. So I'm going to put it down here on this end. I've got a thyme that I'm hoping will really take off here. But this is a really weedy area of my garden, and I'm just going to put this Thai basil in because I know it's going to grow really quick and get this soil covered. It's so almost dark. I don't want to stop. Alright, I'm going to plant this really fast. These are my first tomatoes to plant this year. So excited. This marks, for me, like the real start of what I anticipate in the garden. I'm going to do this super fast because it is almost entirely dark out here. The camera makes up for some of it. I do have a video about planting tomatoes. If you look up Roots and Refuge, how to plant tomatoes. But right now I'm just going to get it done. I actually didn't realize that I had bought a handful of these striped German tomatoes, but last year it was from 2 of these starts, this variety, striped German, that I got 2 of the largest tomatoes I've ever grown, and I had bought the starts from the same place, the same Arkansas nursery, Charlie's is what it's called. But I didn't realize I had bought 5 of these plants. Oh well, I'm gonna plant all of them because they were really good. These are ready to go in, whereas the ones I started aren't, because they were a little later and I didn't harden them off yet. Oh, well, I didn't get it all done, but it is too dark now. I mean, I could still probably do some planting, but I can't see very well. When I miss the garden in the winter, I miss the bounty and, you know, the table full of food and having dinners out here, just the excitement of finding new things growing, all of it. I mean, I miss all of it, but it's these moments where it's late and I'm by myself and I've got a little while longer before I need to go in and get the kids in bed, and my body hurts after planting potatoes today and then planting out here and moving a lot of soil. And today was definitely one of those days that there was a lot of work involved. It was a long day. It started early and it's gonna end late. But this is what I miss the most when I'm not able to do it. I think it's the accomplishment and the joy and the rest that comes after having invested in the future. Everything that I did today is gonna pay off later. In literally hundreds of pounds of food. I mean, with planting potatoes and tomatoes and so many. I put a lot of seeds in the soil today. You saw some of them, you didn't see all of them. It's amazing, like when I think of the fact that the full tables and the delicious meals and all of that stuff, it started today. Like this, I mean, a lot of it started weeks ago with a handful of seeds inside. But this is the move that leads to that. And my body hurts and I'm tired and I pushed myself, but I'm proud. And I love this about the garden. Before I had this, I just can't think of anything else in my life that required such a push that was so easy to talk myself out of. Now, a few years in, you stop talking yourself out of it. A few years in, you stop questioning if it's worth it. You know, once you really get into a groove and a rhythm, and you know the seasons always come back and the failures don't discourage you so much anymore, and you got room for experimenting, like the question goes away of like, is this really worth it? Is this something I really want to do? And like, you just know, yes, it's what I want to do. Right now my back hurts and I'm tired and I'm like, yes, this is what I want to do. And I don't know, there's just something extremely comforting in the solidity of loving something so much that even the hard work satisfies you, if that makes sense. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I bless you. Until next time.